The killer in you is the power in me. Pleased to meet you, so good to see. The killer in you will keep me alive. Back to back, self-sacrifice.
With a number one contender for the Millennium Championship decided last Millennium tonight, the road to Crossroads continues as we have a jam-packed night ahead. I'm the troublemaker Chloe James at your service for this evening from Millennium 98, and as I have just mentioned, we have quite a lot in store as the road to Crossroads continues, as in our main event, we will decide the number one contender for Haseo's Crossover Championship. But not only that tonight, we will find out the second of the two teams that will be going to Crossroads to face off in the Gauntlet match for the Tag Team Championship number one contender between Millennium and Prime. And it looks as though that we're not going to be wasting any time to get into the action here with that one, as we get set to decide who that team will be, as Paul Phoenix and Vamp, the Dudes of Destruction, two men who have been on a tear in the tag team scene in the past, but as solo members have been sort of tepidly as of late. Tonight, however, despite that, they will have one more chance to get to that opportunity after besting the Q Rangers a few weeks ago. Tonight, this could be their way of finally being able to get back into tag team title contention by getting through to that gauntlet match. But of course, in order to get to that tag team gauntlet match, they have to go through the team that is coming up against them right here and now. And they're no strangers to tag team action. Nekomaru, Nidai, and Gundham Tanaka have also been having an interesting time as solo competitors as of late. Nidai having a loss back at the draft to Rock Howard. Gundham Tanaka failing in the gauntlet match for the Millennium title last Millennium. But tonight, these two men, the Remnants of Despair, have a chance against the Dudes of Destruction to face off in the to take a spot in the gauntlet match that is coming up at Crossroads in a few weeks. And you have to imagine, if you're in the position of these two men who have been practically at odds with each other in the past, and have been on a much more fearsome tear through the division recently with this one. Former tag team champions on Prime, twice over, mind you. You have to wonder if they're going to be part of the teams before this league is done to have bought both of the tag team titles on both brands. Regardless, however, our matchup starts up here. And remember, the stakes involved with this match are simple. Whoever wins this match will in fact join Soldier on the Millennium side for the tag team titles, for the tag team title gauntlet at Crossroads, of which we already know for certain that while we do know for a fact that Soldier have already qualified for that, and on the Millennium side, and we know for a fact that Prime has yet to confirm their members. We will be seeing that more over the coming weeks here on ACL programming. One realistically has to wonder, in regards to this here, given who is already a part of that on the Millennium side, you have to question if, given the pedigree involved regarding this, who on earth can stack up to Soldier at this point? Because let's be clear about something here. Soldier, since they've returned, have been dominant. They have been on a tear, and they have proven themselves to be one of the most vicious teams in the division as a whole. So, for either the Dudes of Destruction or the Remnants of Despair, they would have to bring their absolute A-game to face off against Soldier should the time come in that regard. And I say that with absolute certainty that you gotta be completely, absolutely certain if you're going into a matchup like that. But as you can see with Nidai, he's absolutely putting the brakes right to Vamp in this regard. In the opening minutes of this match here. Linking him into the corner, however, making the tag right there to Gundham. Going right for it and setting him up in a double shoulder block right there onto Gundham. Right there onto Vamp, I should say, by Gundham and Nidai. And this is the thing you've got to question about Gundham in this regard. I mean, last Millennium, about 2 weeks ago, he was fighting for a chance to become the number one contender for the Millennium Championship. And he came damn near close to that, but faltered right at the but he faltered thanks to Ron Masao-Turbe, who, granted, was on an absolute tear in that contest. Let's be real about this here. But Gundham proved in that contest that despite everything, he's still no slouch. He is still just as malicious as he has ever been. If not, I would argue, probably on a tear on his own right in that regard. But then again, that's always been the case for the Ultimate Sadist in that regard. There's nothing new there. And we're seeing that in full force right here and now as Vamp is absolutely getting the work done onto him. And Paul Phoenix now, Gundham taunting for a short minute, and that 1 second was all that it took for Paul to absolutely take advantage of the situation. And it's now completely manhandling the Ultimate Sadist just like that. Like it was absolutely nothing. And this is a thing you really gotta keep in mind for that as well. The Dudes of Destruction are former Millennium Tag Team Champions in their own right. Granted, they were Tag Team Champions in the era of Spiral, so it's dubious at best with that one. But you cannot deny that for both of the teams involved in this matchup right here and now, they are some of the best, arguably they're some of the best teams, period, in this company. And we're seeing that in full force right here and now. Now Gundham making the tag to Nidai one more time, and the double flapjack right there for the both of them. Right there for the both of them, right onto Paul, and no! Package Paul driver denied right there by Paul Phoenix. Denied by Paul Phoenix. Paul Phoenix, on the other hand, right there with the double barrel Phoenix special just like that. And sending Nidai right into the corner, and now making the tag to Vamp. In regards to this one here, Vamp setting him up and laying him down. Ego trip right there from both of them. Now Vamp thinking that this could be the end with that one there. Gundham rolling out. Nidai's down, but it's only for a 2 count with that one. But it's only after a 2 count with that one there. And Nidai's already busted open pretty badly in regards to this matchup here. And Vamp is now absolutely going on a tear. But no, as soon as I say that, Nidai going right back for it. And it's a back and forth between both of them at this point here. And Vamp continuing it, and the running power slam, and laying Nidai down just like that. Only netting him a 2, however, with that one. And Vamp just fuming at the fact that nothing that they've put on at this point has even been managing to even get close to taking Nidai down at this point here. But that's the thing about Nekomaru Nidai. You cannot let him have an opening, as we are seeing right here and now with the package Paul driver. He will absolutely fuck you up if you let him with that one. And that's the thing you've got to take into account with Nekomaru Nidai. At no point is he able, should you ever let him have the advantage. And we're seeing it here, right here and now. God. Right there with the Despair Bomb right into the turnbuckle. And the Enziguri combination just like that. And now Gundham stalling for too long. Vamp is already back up with the knee right there to Gundham. The knee right there to Vamp, but no Vamp. Gundham was distracted for a second there. Vamp with the double choke bomb. And now, no! Vamp was going for the Crucifix Powerbomb, but no, Gundam getting out of it. Sadist submission from out of nowhere, however. Sadist submission, and it's looking bad for Vamp at this point, but Paul Phoenix breaks it up. Paul Phoenix breaking it up just like that, and Gundam is saying, hey, you haven't had enough? You have another dose of that. Laying him down once again, just like that. The leg, and just focusing too much on Paul Phoenix in the moment there, when his opponent is still in the ring at this point here. Gundam's really got to be focusing hard at this point here, because he cannot afford any mistakes at this late stage of the game. And this is being absolutely honest about the situation here. And there we go, continuing to wear down on Vamp just like that, right there into the corner. Trying his best, going for the pin with that one. 1, 2, no! Not even a 2 count with that one. But you've got to be thinking to yourself with this one here. You've got to be thinking yourself in regards to what we are seeing right here and now. Gundam focusing hardline right there on Vamp, and he's got to be thinking here, what on earth do I got to do to keep him down? But you've also got to be considering, given the fact that Paul Phoenix has been mostly fresh in this contest, like he hasn't exactly been taking, he may have taken a few lickings outside of the ring right now, but in regards to what we're seeing here and now, Vamp is not looking good here, and if he was smart about the situation, he would probably call for the tag at this point here. But hey, that's just me thinking about it in the long term with this one. Right now, Gundam is currently focusing hard on everything with this one. Sending him right into the corner now, thinking, no. I was thinking he was going right there for the Dark Deva kick, right just like that, but no. Going for that combination of strikes just like that. Nailing him on the head just like that. And now it's not looking good right there. Gundam continuing to... Oh! God, Vamp just rebounded completely off the ropes just like that. And now Gundam continuing to wear down. And you've got to be thinking to yourself at this point, if Vamp is not looking good in this situation, his head is already looking pretty busted open at this point. Spinebuster as well onto Vamp by Gundam at this point. Now Gundam sizing it up. Oh, and the Dark Deva kick hits the call. Hits right there on the noggin just like that. And once again, Gundam trying to make damn well certain that Paul Phoenix does not get involved in this one here. Paul may be out in that one, but has he been distracted enough with Paul that he's once again costing him with Vamp? Unfortunately, once again, focusing too hard right there onto Paul Phoenix to keep him laid down is not the way to go with this one here. And Vamp clipping him right at the legs once again with that one there. And it's not looking good right now as the tide has definitely turned in the favor of the Dudes of Destruction with this one here. And now making the tag right there to Paul, finally getting him into the match. And Gundam now focusing hard way at this point, but no, getting a strike in return for his troubles with that one there. And now Paul going to work on him, trying to absolutely break down Gundam piece by piece with this one. Focusing hard line at this point, getting him on his knees and rebounding off the ropes, and a punch right to the skull for good measure as well. But no, Gundam getting him out, getting him right there just like that, but no, Paul getting out of dodge just like that. And once again striking him right in the skull, busting him open with that one there. And Paul now getting Nidai into the matchup here, giving him a good kick for good measure with that one. Another boot right there by Paul, denied again, but Nidai unable to keep him up with that, unable to keep him up long term with that one here. once again with a double barrel Phoenix special with that one there. Oh! And the knockout blow right there by Paul right there onto Nidai. Trying to make sure Gundham doesn't get involved, and I think this might be it for the Dues of Destruction with this one here. And 1, 2, no! Nidai still kicks out of it with that one. Nidai once again still kicking out of it just like that. And Paul is fuming at this point here. Getting a headbutt for his troubles with that one there. And Nidai going completely ballistic with the shots right there. And now Nidai setting it up, and no, going for a crossface right there, right onto Paul. Trying to wear him down by the head, but no, not enough, and Paul is taking advantage of it just like that, going for the stomps right to the chest. Nidai once again focusing hardline and trying to make sure Paul doesn't make the tag right to Vamp just like that. Now Nidai once again hitting the target just like that. Right there with the suplex right there. Now fallaway slam just like that right onto Paul Phoenix. And a hard-hitting lariat for good measure as well at this point here in the match, however. You've got to be thinking in regards to everything here. What on earth is it going to take for either of these teams to basically call for the win at this point here? But this could be the start of a package power driver for good measure as well. And now, Gundham wanting to make, Nidai wanting to make sure, like Gundham did, that Vamp is down for the count. Vamp, who's taken quite a fair bit of shots in this matchup here. No hesitation on the part of Nidai as soon as he gets back into the ring. Immediately going for the Despair Bomb one more time. Hitting it right there. Going for the pin immediately. 1, 2, 3. And Nidai and Gundham go to Crossroads to represent Millennium in the Gauntlet. And given that, like I said before, Soldier is a part of that, and both sides of Millennium are confirmed with this one, Prime, you better be ready for whatever team you've brought out with that one. Because these two teams from Millennium have got a lot of fight in them for the tag team title shot. But wait a minute, I don't think we're done here. They're calling for a mic now. Oh, yeah, Soldier, Prime, y'all got a lot of fight to do with the Remnants at this point here. And after that amazing start to our 9 here tonight here on Millennium, ooh, I know that we have a crossover championship number 1 contendership for our main event, but speaking of the crossover champion himself, Haseo, who has definitely had an interesting season to this point, the player killer, and let's be real here, the longest reigning crossover champion in company history. While he's not scheduled to come out here tonight, we are being blessed, as it were, by the presence of the current crossover champion. And it looks as though he's got his game face on in particular, and he's not bringing out the belt just to showcase anything here, or just to talk in regards to this one. I'm getting word that he's actually I'm getting word that he's specifically wanting to be in action here tonight, but he hasn't specified specifically for what in particular. I guess we're about to find out the extent for which the crossover champion wishes to be out here tonight. But this is the thing about Haseo in regards to this one here. The player killer has definitely had an interesting run so far as crossover champion. As you can tell, the fans are still a little bit antsy about what happened back at the Grand Slam. And while he has definitely been on a sort of a way to be able to give back to the Millennium brand, as it were, as champion, one has to realistically wonder what on earth Haseo is thinking coming out here tonight. Regardless, I think we are going to get that answer right here from Haseo, so I think let's let the man himself speak.
Not that long ago, I flung out the challenge to anyone in the back who was wanting to make a name for themselves to face off for my crossover championship. And since then, I've beaten the previous challenger in Squall Leonhardt, and I've kept the challenge open, week after week, to prove that I can and will be the best holder of this belt. But tonight, I don't want to mince words. I'm not looking to find out who I'll defend it against tonight. I want to know who in the back wants this on a bigger stage. Who wants to face me for this belt at Crossroads? Because Squall couldn't do it. Tsukasa couldn't. Every other challenger before tonight couldn't do it. So I want to know if there's anyone in the back who is on that level, who thinks they can do what all the ones before could not, and take this from me.
Oh boy. And it looks as though we already have someone from the back who absolutely wants to make a name, wants to go head to head with the current crossover champion, and that is Jude Mavis. Jude Mavis, who made a pretty big name for himself coming up short against Noctis just a few weeks ago, but absolutely has been killing it here since his debut on the Millennium brand last season. And one thing you have to take into regard with Jude Mavis is that he has absolutely made a name for himself in regards to what he has done here on the Millennium brand in total with this one. And you have to wonder in regards to this one here, is this going to be the night that Jude Mavis absolutely makes an absolute name for himself in regards at the expense of the player killer himself in that regard? Regardless, however, we do in fact have a crossover championship match on deck here tonight here on Millennium 98. Here we go with this one here, an impromptu crossover championship matchup here tonight here on Millennium. And we are set, and Haseo immediately trying to go all out, but as you can see right here and now, Jude Mavis is not letting anything slip in regards to that one, immediately taking the full brunt of this, immediately going whole hog right there for the word go right against Haseo in that regard. And this is the thing about Jude Mavis. He has definitely got... Oh, God, and a face smasher right there by Haseo. This is the thing I will definitely say in regards to where we are at with Haseo. He's been in this company for 10 years at this point here. And this is the thing you've also got to take into account with Jude Mavis as well in regards to everything here. Jude Mavis, for all intents and purposes, has more or less hasn't been here as long. But one could argue in his short time here in this company, he's got that martial arts background and he's put that all to good use in regards to that one here. And we've seen that net him some pretty impressive victories, but we've also seen that be the downfall of him in that regard as well. And this is the thing you've got to take into account. That it's all about skill versus absolute ability here. It's all about skill and just adjusting to everything in regards to that one, and taking fully into account the fact that for all intents and purposes here, there is a lot that one could realistically argue at this point is the big thing to take away from this here. But you've got to think at the end of it all with this one here, Jude Mavis taking advantage of the situation, going right there. And while he does definitely have that martial arts background to him, that is not to say that he is not capable of throwing down when it comes to the standard style of wrestling here, as we are seeing right here, as he had that takedown right there, right to Haseo on the outside. And now Jude, wait a minute, no, Haseo getting right back out of it with that one. And wailing down on Jude with that one here, and now an enziguri. Not an enziguri, I should be saying, but a shining wizard right to the skull of Jude Mavis right there by Haseo. Flinging him right into the corner and setting him up top just like that. Now going up top here, setting him up and laying him right back down for good measure as well. And right now, it is not looking good on the part of Jude Mavis here. And Haseo going up top with the tope over the ropes just like that. A tope over the ropes, and Haseo, no! Trying to go for the 1916 right to the outside just like that. And Jude taking advantage of it here, and now going right back onto the assault. And the fans are loving Jude Mavis here in this moment. Well, he's definitely got a lot of room to be able to try and net it right there against Haseo. You've got to be thinking to yourself in this regard. In regards to what we are seeing right here and now, Jude has definitely got a lot to consider with this one in this moment. But now Haseo setting it up, going right back to the assault with a drive-by drop kick right to the skull right there of Jude Mavis. And now going for those hard-hitting and the bounce and the hard-hitting bounce of strikes right there by Haseo and Jude Mavis just like that. The test of wills on the parts of both men in this regard. Haseo absolutely dominating in this one so far. Jude barely hanging on, but no, Jude with an opening, but no! Going back and forth between both of these men in this ring right now. And you can definitely tell, given everything we're seeing here, the back and forth between the both of them are going absolutely nuts here in this moment. But both men, and there we go, the strikes going right there and striking both of them at the same time. But who the hell came out on top with that one there? Jude taking the advantage right there, getting the speed advantage, but no. Haseo getting out of dodge and reversing it just like that. And now Jude continuing to go for the strikes and continuing to wear down on Haseo just like that. And right now, it is not looking good for Haseo here. And if he goes for the Rising Falcon just like that, this could be over! Final Gale, I should say. Sorry about that one. Final Gale hits the target. Right? Final Gale does not, in fact, make it final in this contest here tonight. Haseo still very much in the game, as it were. But we are well in the weeds in this matchup here at this point. And now Haseo seeing that Jude has already made his way to the outside one more time. And now Haseo running the ropes with that one there. Jude, on the other hand, focusing hard, and a double foot stomp from out of nowhere right there by Haseo. And Haseo continuing to wear down with a combination of strikes and a tornado enziguri just like that. 1, 2, and only a 2 count managing it with that one. Haseo cannot believe that Jude is still has that much left up in this contest here. And Jude in this moment continuing to barrel down the shots with that one there, but no, Haseo getting right back up, sending Jude mid-flight to the outside just like that, crashing and burning just like that. Haseo looking to take advantage of it, but Jude getting out of dodge and reversing it, ripcording him right there with the good knee to the gut. And continuing to twist the knee, continuing to contort it and try to wear down on the vital bits that will no! Savant kick right there, and Haseo at the same time trying to go for the strike. Both of them do not connect in that regard. No, both of them continuing to go for the strikes after strikes, and wait a minute. Jude setting him up and laying Haseo down just like that with the sides, with that Dominator slam, and a 1, 2, only netting a 2, however, right there by Jude Mavis. And this is the thing. Jude has been in control for most of the contest at this point here. Haseo only getting a couple moves in at this point here. We haven't even seen the Scape Driver or the Terror of Death. It has been all Jude in this contest to this point here. And you've got to be thinking to yourself, if I'm Haseo in this regard, am I worried here that Jude has outnumbered me? That Jude has outmaneuvered me in this regard? Have I actually met my match in this regard? And the question is at this point here, is it all too much? Is it all too much for Haseo at this point after going this far, after making it this distance as champion? And there we go, Snapdragon suplex, I should say, with that one. No, Haseo getting out of the lock with that one there. Trying to slowly make his way back into position with that one. Setting it up for a 1916. Hitting the target just like that. And there we go. Haseo now getting his bearings again. Looking to go for it. Setting it up for the Scape Driver. Scape Driver hitting the target right there onto Jude. Is it enough? 2. No! Only a 2 with the Scape Driver, and Jude Mavis barely gets out of it with that one. Haseo cannot believe it. He's still, this match continues despite everything that has happened, but realistically, when you get to this point here, in the regard with Haseo in this situation, you have to think to yourself, what on earth can I do in order to try my best at this point here? And the answer may surprise you, because there is reasonably a lot to keep in mind with this one. And continuing to wear down on Haseo now, Jude is just absolutely still in the driver's seat at every point with this one here. And once again, looking for Final Gale. If he hits this, could this be the one that nets in the Crossover Championship? 1, 2, 3, no! Final Gale does not net him the Crossover Championship. Are you kidding me? That does not net him the Crossover Championship. Are you kidding me there? Although I do definitely see that Haseo was busted open with the Final Gale. You have to imagine if you're Jude Mavis after pulling out 2 of the damn things. And also after everything Haseo has been put through at this point here, and he's still not done yet. What on earth is going to keep Haseo down at this point? The answer, however, may surprise you, because the Terror of Death has done... Because the Terror of Death, the player kill, whatever you want to call him, he's done everything, and he's pulling out all the stops now. And now Haseo, with the 1916 right there to the outside, I think he is looking to put the nail in the coffin right there for Jude Mavis in this regard. This time, no hesitation, going for his namesake, Terror of Death. 1, 2, 3. And once again, Haseo, proving beyond a shadow of a doubt, despite everything, that he is deserving of being the Crossover Champion. Going through one hell of a matchup here tonight against Jude Mavis. You've got to give all the credit to Jude Mavis in that regard for giving a masterful matchup against the Terror of Death here tonight. We'll be right back to decide his next #1 contender. And we are back here tonight after a matchup that just saw Haseo completely retain his Crossover Championship in dominant fashion. Well, I wouldn't say in dominant fashion, in one hell of a contest for the Crossover Championship. We now get set for your main event of the evening to decide who will be the next #1 contender to face off against him for that belt at Crossroads in a few weeks from now. And you can see one of the men up in this contest here, Noctis Lucis Kylum, who came up short in regards to facing off in the Gauntlet to decide the Millennium Championship #1 contender tonight, is looking to set his sights instead on Crossover Championship contention here tonight. But one has to wonder, given everything that we have already seen from Noctis in the past and his dominant reign as Sky High Champion, is he going to be setting his sights to maintain that domination in the past on the Crossover title? But here comes someone who's definitely been wanting to make a name for himself in terms of solo action as he is as a tag team champion. Keith Kogane, one half of the legendary defenders, the Red Lion of Voltron, tonight is looking to make a statement of intent, as while he came up short against Ron Masao Turbe on the debut matchup for Millennium for this year, one has to wonder for Keith Kogane here tonight, is this going to be a turning of the tide right here? is this in fact going to be the moment where Keith Kogane becomes able to be a solo competitor? Because while we've definitely seen some tension brewing within the legendary defenders, and definitely been seeing one of them been trying to steal the spotlight as a on his own, this man in particular, Keith, has definitely been showing himself as a solo competitor. But speaking of tag teams with solo competitors, here comes one man in particular who, while he has definitely found major success in the tag team title scene with his partner in Stinger, recently coming off from a really big run in the Krishoni Cup in UCWL, one has to wonder tonight, Lucky as a solo competitor, is he going to be able to focus his efforts enough to make himself as a solo star in this matchup and be able to focus himself hardline to be able to maybe get a shot at the crossover championship come Crossroads against Haseo? And especially from what we've just seen for the likes of Jude Mavis, anyone, if given the opportunity, could potentially make it and face and get to a point of nearly beating the current crossover champion. We just gotta figure out who of these three men is going to be the next one up to face off against the belt for Haseo here tonight. And there we go. Triple threat rules in this contest. Anything goes in regards to that one, but it's one fall to a finish. It's no elimination style. Whoever can get the first pinfall, submission, whatever, they will be the number one contender for Haseo's crossover championship come Crossroads. And it is between Keith, Lucky, and Noctis. And it's your main event for Millennium 98. Let's get it on. And continuing the efforts right here on the part of all three competitors with this one here. Noctis, one could argue Noctis is definitely an early favorite with this one, despite his shortcomings in the past with this one. You've got to remember, he is a former ACL World Champion and the longest reigning Sky High Champion in company history, for good reason. I mean, his dominance as Sky High Champion is something to be remembered. He absolutely took that belt to new heights. He implemented the limit break rule to that effect, and one would have to imagine that in that regard, you have to consider all competitors in regards to this one here, especially to the likes of Keith, especially to the likes of his opponents right now, Keith Kogane and Lucky. And while one has to consider what on earth is going to be happening right here tonight, considering all involved, you've got to be thinking to yourselves, given what we just saw with Haseo going toe-to-toe against Jude Mavis in regards to that one, and especially given everything that he has done in order to maintain control in regards to that, you've got to be thinking to yourself here, no! God! Keith Kogane right there, setting it down just like that, and Lucky, oh, taking them both out with a slingshot through the ropes. All three competitors not giving an inch in this contest here, laying it all on the line in all regards with this one here, and all competitors in this match not giving an inch in this regard, going all out for good measure as well. You've got to think in regards to everything here. This matchup, all considered with this one, is going to be hard-hitting, all considered with this one. And now setting up, Noctis setting up Lucky into one corner, Keith in the other corner. Noctis setting up his focus right there onto Lucky, focusing on the arm just like that, and Noctis getting blown out right there by Keith for good measure. Lucky, however, all competitors in this matchup are going all out against each other here. And the combination of kicks and strikes right there by Keith Kogane, and Keith is already looking for the red driver. Mighty driver hitting the target. 1, 2, only getting a 2 count right there. once again. And wait a minute, no, Noctis right there. No, Lucky breaking it up. This is the thing about a triple threat matchup here. All competitors involved are absolutely going right there for the assault, just like that. Going completely all out against one another. And realistically, given all the pedigree of the competitors involved in this match, you've got to be... Oh, God, Noctis! Laying it all out just like that. And now you've realistically got to be thinking to yourself here, with the pedigree of all involved, and given what we've seen earlier tonight, given the fact that we've got one hell of an assault with this one here, you've got to be thinking with this one, who on earth is going to be going all out in this matchup here to go right for the crossover championship match? Because we got a lot of clashing styles in this ring right now. We've got a lot of years of experience. We've got a lot of people in this ring right now who could be viable candidates. It's all a matter of who is going to pull it out the most. And once again, all competitors just going balls out right here, not going all out, pulling everything out in order to completely net the win and then some, continuing their efforts here. And now Lucky up top of the splash right there. And Lucky with the forearm smash just like that. Forearm smash, and right there, they're just brawling on the outside at this point here. All competitors in this matchup just brawling right there on the outside. Noctis, it's hard to really tell who's really taking control of this matchup here and who really at this point in time is going to be the one to take... I would have said that Keith Kurgane would have taken the early lead at this point here, but now, I'll be honest, I'm not so certain, but Royal Ascent right there by Noctis, if he can hit the mark of the Kings, and Keith is stalking him, just waiting for him to hit the mark of the Kings right there onto Lucky. There he goes. Mark of the Kings hits the target, Noctis. And Noctis getting the pin instead of Lucky. Keith, what on earth are you thinking there? Keith potentially making a critical error. Lucky has been out for so long here, managing enough recovery time to get back up for good measure, and now Lucky's back in the fray. Lucky's now back in the fray. Noctis taking full advantage of the situation again, trying to keep him worn down. Lucky has been the absolute mule in this match, getting a whipping for good measure out of every situation. But you've got to be thinking to yourself, in every regard in this matchup here, Lucky trying to get some level of an advantage back into his corner, but Keith and Noctis have absolutely been relentless in this matchup to this point. And you can see it especially in the way Keith, no! Noctis trying to clip Keith right at the legs with that one there. Snap DDT for good measure, and now Keith focusing his efforts again right there onto Lucky. Once again, focusing his efforts right there onto Lucky. And now Keith thinking to let his frustrations down a bit, going for the pin. 1, 2, no! Only a 2 count right there. Noctis breaking it up. And Noctis, no! Missed time the springboard drop kick, but hitting the drop kick again. And once again, Lucky left hanging out to dry with that one there, while Noctis and Keith go at it again. And Lucky thinking he was going to go for Noctis, but now he's splitting it up against both of them at this point here. But that may come to be to his detriment there, as he's once again left the odd one out in this regard. Noctis using the positioning of the chair in the ring right now to plant Keith down onto the ground. And now focusing hard way on the legs with that one there. Lucky now absolutely deciding that now it's his time to take full advantage. And that Spanish fly for good measure. And now Lucky looking to take the advantage right into his own corner. Superstar crash. 1, 2, no! You gotta think, would that have been enough to take out Noctis had Keith not get involved? Keith in the corner now. Lucky taking full advantage here, laying down Noctis. Now focusing his efforts right back onto Keith there. Lucky from out of nowhere taking the advantage here into his side. From out of nowhere, Lucky coming out just out of nowhere, and now going for a superstar crash again? Superstar crash, and it busted open Keith as well for good measure there. Lucky going for the pin. 1. No, only getting a 1 for his efforts with that one. Only getting a 1 for his efforts with that one there. With Noctis kicking out of, getting the kick out with that one. And Lucky now paying the cost right there. Getting a taste of his own medicine. Keith on the other hand. And now the handspring enziguri right there by Keith. Lucky with the forearm hit again. Lucky going for the pin out of nowhere there too. Only getting a 2, however. And Lucky sending Noctis to the outside. That might be to his detriment. Keith may have something bad in store for him at this point. And the forearm strikes. And now laying it down right there with that lariat from out of nowhere. No! Noctis going low from out of nowhere. What on earth are you thinking there, Noctis? Everyone involved wants this so badly. They will do anything to get this win, and I damn well mean anything at this point. But wait a minute. Keith back up. He can't be kept down for too long. Noctis is laid on the outside. Keith on the inside just like that. Laying him down. Setting up Lucky again. Mighty driver from out of nowhere. 1, 2, 3, and Noctis doesn't make it in the nick of time. Keith Kogane goes to Crossroads to face off against Haseo for the crossover championship at that event. The Red Lion of Voltron from out of nowhere manages a massive win tonight and manages a big opportunity come Crossroads. If he can pull out what he did tonight against Haseo in a few weeks, if tonight was any indication, Keith Kogane may very well be your next crossover champion.